Hello, students. I'm going to start a Google form here, and perhaps I can walk you through some of the more basic procedures in starting a Google form survey and get you going at least on some of the basic points of starting the survey, pasting in the particular items from whatever the assessments are that you have. And remember, you should use every single question on the assessment. So I'm just going to start a brand new one here. And what you see here is that I'm in my drive. And in here, I'm going to hit new and then go down here, get more, and then it says Google Forms. So Google Forms should open up, and now we've got a brand new form. Now, the first thing we want to note here is we don't want to get email addresses. So change those settings right away and unclick collect email addresses. And the other thing we want to do is limit your respondent to one response. Now, here's a problem. One of the problems here is that if you don't want the respondent to log in or be required to sign into Google, maybe you don't want to do that. So, here's the issue right here. You either limit it to one response in which they do have to sign into Google, still they'll be anonymous, or not. Now, I doubt very seriously if you don't limit it to just one response that somebody's going to take the time to do it over and over again. In this case, I'm going to not limit it to one response, but again, I would suggest perhaps that you do that. Okay, so let's call this form uh, uh, research project. I'm just going to call it research project. You call it whatever you want. But remember that, well, here, let's call this research project. And what is this here? Down here, we can, you can put some, please answer the following questions in each of the sections. This entire let's see, this process. Let's just say answering the answering the entire survey will, let's say, should not take longer than 15 minutes. Okay, now let's start with the demographics first. That's probably the most straightforward one. So the first thing we want to do here is just go with sex. So in this one, we're going to again start with multiple choice. And remember, there's a big difference between checkboxes and multiple choice. Checkboxes allow the respondent to put in more than one response. Multiple choice is a single response, and that's what we want to limit it to. So in this question, you just want to say sex. And then you might want to say here, female. And then we're going to add another and go male. And that is that for that one. So that's done. We don't have any more, male and female. So now we're going to add another question. And so here we're going to say, let's say age. Now this is a short answer. So this is simply a short answer. And I think that you don't want to have any categories here. So just have your respondent put in the short answer, 25 or 55 or however old they are. And the reason for that is that when we go to analyze the data, it is much more revealing as far as the age is associated with the other information if we have a continuous variable rather than a categorical variable. So just call that age and use the short answer text there. Now I'm going to add another one here. And let's go with this one, relationship status. And that's going to be a multiple choice. So you can say single, no committed relationship. And then the next one will be single in a committed relationship, and then the other one can be married. Now the reason I don't put a bunch of things here like divorced, widowed, all of that is because if you're divorced, you're single and you're either in or not in a committed relationship, or you're married. And if you're a widow or widower, basically it's the same thing, you're single, so on and so forth. And I don't think we're going to get much more information from that. So now let's add yet another question. Let's call this level of education, education level. And then go one, did not complete high school. That's the first one. And then the next one would be, we can add more, by the way, here. Let's see, next thing is high school graduate. And the next one might be some college. And then you might say college grad. And then the next one would be maybe some, we get too many categories here, master's degree, and then the other one, last one, I would think would be professional degree. And then behind that you'd see like a PhD, MD, PsyD, and or JD for a lawyer. And so now that's that for the that's for education level. Now you can put in, or make sure you get rid of the other. Sometimes it leaves another other there, and you don't want people to put that in there. Let's add ethnicity. And here also we're going to make sure that you catch it. So again, multiple choice, add other. One, let's say the first one would be Latin X. Next one would be, let's say, Black African American. Next one might be white. White. I don't really know how to spell Caucasian. That's embarrassing. I know that's spelled wrong. Let's see how that's spelled. There it is, Caucasian. Then perhaps you want to add some more ethnicities. Be aware that you aren't going to get, well, since we're doing this mostly in Ventura County, probably not going to get many others. Asian, and then, you could add, for example, Native American or indigenous, indigenous culture. The other thing you might say is mixed, and indeed most people are mixed anyway. And last but not least, other. Although something, I don't even leave an option for other. Um, I think that'll do it right there. If you want to, that's fine, but I'm not going to do it in this demo. And then you could add some more. If you could add some more of any of these if you like, plus additional demographic variables as well. But I think that these are enough for where we're going. And this, by the way, now is the first section. This is demographics. So now what we want to do is add another section. And so this little icon here allows us to add another section, which we're going to do. And so we're going to call this section 1 or section 2. And then we are going to add a question. Now I'm going to do the Beck depression inventory on this one, and I find it probably the most difficult. It is not only the most difficult to, but on the other hand, it's a very important instrument to use. It is one of the most revered and well respected of the depression inventories, other than the Hamilton. Yeah, I think probably either the Hamilton or the BDI are the most respected depression inventories. So I'm going to call this section 2. Now notice on here that I didn't say depression inventory or Beck depression inventory or something like that. Again, because we don't want to lead our respondents in how they respond. But what I am going to do, and I'm going to slide this over here, you can see that I've got the Beck depression inventory up here, and I'm going to copy the instructions from the BDI. Copy them, move this back over here, and then paste them right into here. So now I have section 2. Okay, and now what I'm going to have, I've got option 1, and notice here, I'll bring it back over here. Notice that the BDI, the Beck depression inventory, has 4 possible answers for each question, but in each question there's 4 different groups. So it's not like it's got I feel sad rated from 0 to not at all to 4 very much like me, but instead it has question 1 with a different statement responding to each number, and that's what makes this thing rather difficult to do. So I'm gonna sort of leave it here, and I'm going to say this is going to be BDI1. And if you call it like that, you're not going to, you won't end up with a lot of cleanup at the end of when you move this over to Excel. And remember now that the label at the top, because this is eventually you're going to have these as column headings, which I'll show you later. And then the column headings are going to be whatever you call the question. So in this question now we've got BDI1, multiple choice, and the first option is going to be, in fact, this one. I feel sad. I do not feel sad, I mean. And I'm going to copy that and put it right there. I do not feel sad. And then we've got some more to put in here. And some more, one more even. All right, so the next one is going to be then, I feel sad. Copy that, copy, paste that in there, paste. Option 3 is, I'm sad all the time, can't snap out of it. Copy, paste that in there, and paste. And the last one in the BDI for question 1 is here. Copy and paste. Okay, now we don't want any other responses, so get rid of that. So now we've got these 4, I do feel sad, I feel sad, and you can only respond to one of them. And remember now, when these go into the final spreadsheet form, this is going to come back to you. And instead of this having a 0, 1, 2, or 3 in it, it's going to be, I do not feel sad, I feel sad. So the person who's organizing, who's cleaning your data in Excel is going to have to change all of these I do not feel sads to zeros. And I feel sads to ones, and I am sad all the times to 2, and I am so sad or unhappy I can't stand it to 3. Okay, so now let's do one more and then move on to something else. So now let's add another question with this little plus sign there. And the next question is up here. And that, well, first of all, this is BDI2. BDI2. And then we're going to add some more, add some more, add some more. And then the question is over here, I am not particularly discouraged about the future. Copy that, put that in option 1. And, make sure that your formatting is good. Option 2 is I feel discouraged about the future. Copy and paste. 3 would be I feel I have nothing to look forward to. And the last one is I feel the future is hopeless and that things cannot improve. Copy and paste. Again, when you make sure your formatting is good, there's no other, I'm going to make sure that that's not there. So now I've got BDI2 and that's done. Let's look at what this would look like. And by the way, now remember there are I think 21 of these, 21 of the BDI questions. So I'm going to show you all of those. Right? Yeah, 21, and you'd have to do that with all of those for all of you who are in fact using the BDI, the Back Depression Inventory. Now up here you can see where it says preview, so we can actually look at what the questions look like. So there we say research project, please answer the following questions, blah, 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 sex, age, put the answer in, relationship status, educational level, ethnicity, then you go to next. It's probably not going to let me go to next because it wants me to fill everything out. So I'm just going to fill this stuff out here and there and there and there and mixed, and then go to next. Okay, then it goes to these. And so now there's that, section 2, and so we could do that, and then that's done. So I'm not going to even submit that. I'm just going to leave it and come back to where we were. And I'm going to add now, so now we've got this second section here. Let's add section 2, and this is another type of form. This is called the PANAS, which is the Positive and Negative Affect Scale, the PANAS. And so let's add another section. And we can see that, hang on, why didn't it start it? Okay, let's add the section, which is down. And it added it on the top. I didn't want that. We're going to have to delete that section, delete that section. But you know what I think we can do here? Here's what, you know what I think? I think that when we add a section, here's the untitled section, and I think that we can, you see, I told you I'm not really an expert at this, but I believe that you can move these to section 1, continue to the next section. Continue to the next section. I really do want to get rid of this. We've got that, section 2, we've got, oh shoot, did I mess it up? I think I did. I believe I did, I messed that up. I told you I'm no expert at this. Let's start another section here. You're going to get the general idea anyway, but you know what you're learning here is don't screw up like I do. So now we're going to go and have section 3, and I'm going to open up this other form now. This is called the PANAS, and this is the positive and negative affect schedule. And in this one, I'm just going to call it section 3, which is what we've done, and then I'm going to put in here the instructions. Indicate how you have felt over this past week. Now, here's something that I think we can do, and this is something I'm going to try. I'm not sure if this is going to work or not, but based on this, I'm going to say that, copy, then put that in there, paste, and then I'm going to add. And I think that we can do this by saying that this is a multiple choice grid with one row and 5 columns. Let's see if it works or not. I think it'll work. So we got one row, and row 1 row 1 says, let's do this. This is that. Okay. And then in column 1, no, I don't like that. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. Instead here, let's put this. Let's put the actual question. Here's interested. I copy it and put that there. Interested. Paste. And then I'm going to have column 2, and that's going to say very slightly or not at all. Column 3 is going to say a little. Column 4 is going to say moderately. Column 5 is going to say quite a bit. And this is going to say extremely. So we need one more over here, like that. And this is interested. And this is PANAS. This is PANAS 1. PANAS 1. Let's see how this looks. If I go to here, interested. Indicate the extent to which you have felt this way over the past week. And there's Panis 1 right there. And then you could, and there's interest. Okay, that seems to work. And then you'd answer those. And again, these aren't going to come back as numbers. These are going to come back as what these are. There's probably another way we can do this. And I'm thinking what we can do also is to maybe put numbers up there instead, because you're gonna end up with, well, we can change that in the long run anyway. So now let's do one more. So now let's go here, and now we've got, we're in Panis 1, so let's add one question more, and this is going to be Panis 2. And again with the multiple choice grid, and here we're going to say row 1, distressed. Copy. Paste, distressed. And then remember that we're going to have now, I think, five columns. So here, and again, these all repeat very slightly, a bit, moderately, quite a bit, and extremely, all the way down. So we could go just the same thing, very slightly or not at all. Copy and paste. Copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, and paste. And that's what we've got there. So if we look at what that looks like, okay, there's our Panis coming out there so far. Interested, distressed, and so on. Now, there's probably another way to do this, and there probably is, and you may very well be able to study this and figure it out. And I know that there's some valuable YouTube instructions, as well as Google providing specific instructions on how to do this. For example, and again, I just sort of entered this and started doing this on the fly. And because of that, maybe there's a much better way of doing this. For example, if you look at this as a matrix, we could do it like this, because this is actually a, if you look at the Panis here, let's pull the Panis back out. This is a 1, 2, this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is a six columns across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 possible answers, and it has 20 questions. So this might be, you might be able to conceive of this as a 20 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see how that works. 20 by 5 matrix. And if that is the case, let's just create another section here and call this the Panis. And then let's go in here and say we're going to we're going to make a multiple choice grid, and we want 20 rows, and we want five columns at least. We'll go 6 just in case. So now 20 rows. So I'm adding all these rows just to see how this works. If it goes all the way down to 20, it may need some adjustment, but again, I'm just sort of flailing around here, and hopefully you can benefit from my errors. So if we look at this Panis again, we see that this first one is interested. Copy. And so I'm going to put that here. Paste. Interested. And then this is very slightly or not at all. Copy. And then put that in there. A little. Moderately. Quite a bit. Extremely. And let's put in row 2, distressed. Put in row 3, excited. Row 4, upset. That's enough just to see how this works. Let's look at it and see what is going on. Ooh, look at that. That worked quite well. That's the better way of doing it, clearly. So because what you've got now is everything, and you just put the different words in there. We do need to put some instructions up here. So let's bail out of this, and let's go back to here and say indicate how you felt over the past week, and put that in this part right here. Paste. We could put that in here too, I guess, because that is basically the same thing. And then go back here and look at it again. Okay. Week. And you go down like that. That works okay. That works pretty good. All right. So, okay, now, so we will have done all of that. And now you're saying, okay, now what do I do with that? So once your survey owner, the person that put this together in her or his Google Drive, all of the responses, no matter who sends out the link, and you can basically create a chain link with this because you send it to your friends, family, people on your email list, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, whatever, and then they can send it out. They can send it out. All the responses are still going to come back to the Google form owner, and it's going to go into that individual's spreadsheet. So let's look at now a spreadsheet, and I'm going to pull out one of my uh, spreadsheets, one that is not too highly populated. Let's look at this one. So there's the spreadsheet right now. Now let me try to explain something else here to you. When you look at the responses on the spreadsheet, when you open this, it comes out like that. However, here's another thing that you could do. Then please don't make this mistake. Let's say I go into this. Here's my survey that corresponds to that spreadsheet, and so I'm going to open that. There's my survey right now. Up here it says responses, so I could also go there. And then it gives me all of this stuff. It's pretty, but it's useless. What we have to have is the actual spreadsheet, which is right there. Notice now that if I take, that there's no identifying information here, basically. So the timestamp is really the only thing you have. It is the only thing that it has any kind of identification, and that is just the time and date at which the person answered the form. I'm going to copy everything here. I'm just going to copy the entire thing, and I'm going to open Excel. Opened up in my other screen. I'll move it over here so you can see it. There's the Excel, and I'm going to now just paste everything. Hang on, it didn't do it. Copy it again, edit, copy, and then go over here in Excel, home, paste, paste. And that's what it looks like. Now that's sort of messy. The other thing you could do, let's try this also, is go home, paste. If we paste special, that's going in as an HTML. If we paste it in as text, it goes in a little easier, and it doesn't create all of that cell formatting. You still have to adjust everything on here so that it's all equal. But now the timestamp you can delete right away. We don't need that at all. And in fact, this is, as far as what I'm just showing you, that's irrelevant also. But let's say, let's start with sex. Here you've got, you need to call them one or the other. So let's say we go into this, and now we go into Excel. Now this is for the Excel person, the person who's cleaning and recoding your data. You're going to go into Find and Select, and then Replace. Find and Select, and then Replace. So I'm going to find here female. Now let's say that we are going to replace all of those with 1. So now I go Replace All. And now all of the females have been replaced with 1. And now I go in here and I say, okay, find what? Find male. And then those are going to be replaced. Make sure that you change everything. Then that's going to be replaced with 2. Replace all. So now I have successfully coded this. Let's see, your age you don't need to code, but the column doesn't work. It has to be a single non-spaced label. Here ethnicity works fine, but again we need to change these. So let's say in here it says Hispanic, Latino, Latina, and then or Hispanic. Now there's a couple of ways we can do this. You could just do what I just did, like with sex, and go replace, find that and then replace it. We could also do this. Let me show you. So go back into Home, and then over here now go Sort and Filter. Sort, and then I'm going to go Filter. And then it's going to show me, I'm going to deselect Select All and just pick, let's say we pick Hispanic, Select All. I want it all. Okay, now I pick Hispanics. And then now it just shows me that. Now what I could do is just change all those to 1s and then fill down. control down. Okay, then go back here and then pick Black African American, and there's just one, call that a 2, and then go here and then say white, that, and then there's 3. 1, 2, 3, control down. And then I don't know what else is there. Let's go Asian, and then there's, so that was, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. So then that's a 4 also. And then let's go with mixed, and that's a 5. And Native American is 6. And other, it would be a 7. Okay. Now you do the same thing here, do the same thing here. Let's go over here a little further where we have some test responses. Now, for example, here, these are question responses to different questions. So it says here, over the past month, now notice that this is the column label. Over the past month, how many days have you missed work or school because you've missed? Okay, and so now what I want to do, which by the way, you know something, I need to get rid of that that filter. So now it says over here, how many days, and that needs to be a separate, that needs to be a clear column heading that says, let's say, days, or let's call it work underscore missed. Now, that's more like it. Now let's say these would be depression questions. And so this would be, I'm saying it's depression only because I know that's what that is. So I'd call that D, Dep 1. Remember, no spaces. Dep 2, Dep 3, Dep 4. And these are, is that another depression question? I think it may be. Yeah, it is. Dep. This would be Dep 5. Dep 5. This is anxiety. Angst 1. Which, by the way, let me point something else out. Notice this says, these questions load on anxiety. I feel secure. I feel restless. Disappointments stick with me. I'm as happy as most others. Disturbing thoughts come to my mind. So what you see here is there's 5 questions on depression and 5 questions on anxiety. This particular question is a reverse scored question, or in other words, since these load on anxiety, all these 5 questions, if somebody says, I feel secure, and then they say very much like me, that actually is not going to be a 4 or 5, that's going to be a 1 or a 2, because that indicates they aren't anxious. So let's say we're going to call this angst 1, angst 2, angst 3, angst 4, and angst 5. Okay, so now we got those. And notice now, because of that, the column widths get a lot smaller. Okay, now we've got those. Now, just in case, and I'll do the reverse scoring, in fact, by the way. Let me just do this. So you're just going to send it to me as is, and I'll make the interpretation of the reverse scoring. These, of course, you just change yeses and nos. So in this case, it says, let's call this substance 1. and this would be, so and then you just change them yes and no. So you go back over here again, and then go find and select, replace, and then we're going to replace the no's with, you might call it a 0 or a 1, a 0, just whatever the lowest score is for a no, and go replace all, and then yes, and close. And then here, then we're going to place the yeses with 2's. So go back over here again to home, and then find and select, and replace all the yeses with 1's. And then replace all, yes, close. So now we've got that column done as well. And now you do the same thing with, with subsequent columns. Some of these have numbers, some of these don't, like where you're going to see when you see someone else doing something that neither of us is supposed to do, based upon the valence, that is from like 0 to 4 or 1 to 5 or whatever, you're going to, so like a strongly agree in this case might be a 4, and a strongly disagree would be, a 0 or whatever. Same here with all of the rest of them. And so you end up now with a complete Excel file in which here's this, you change this, of course, to education. Remember, you've got to change all of your, let's see, religion. This is a question regarding religiosity and religious conviction. Currently serving in the armed forces, so you just might want to say military, and here over total life, how long have you been in therapy? That's another one. And again, here I'm going to get rid of that one because we don't need that anyway. So I will also delete that column. So now you will eventually end up with an Excel file with, now here you'll notice that there's 23 responses, and of course your data will be a lot longer than that, but once you get going, it's pretty easy to do all of these. I hope that this video will help you in getting going, especially as you see me fumble about doing this, but I think eventually you can get the job done, and certainly as you see easier and more efficient ways to accomplish this task of putting this together, you will indeed come to something that is going to work. Remember, let me show you one other thing before I quit here. Here's where were we? We were at this one. Okay, now let's suppose that once you're done with the whole thing and you say, okay, the first thing I want you to do is send it to me, just to make sure. I just want to check it over, just to see that everything is copacetic. And then let's say now you want to send it. You're getting ready to send it. Go send. And now it says, instead of saying this, and remember, you're not collecting email addresses, you do over here, and then it says link, and then it says shorten URL. So now there's your link right there. I'm going to copy that. And if I open, if I open email, if I open my email, I could paste this right into my email, and that link. Now what we're going to do, I'll copy that, and then I could have the consent form. Remember, you have to have the consent verbiage first, and then right under where it says, by clicking the link below, you consent to the above form, and so on. And then you put the link, and then they click on it, and then they're off. So make certain that you do that as well. There's a couple other things you can do here under settings. You can also put under presentation, it says show progress bar. Sometimes that helps people because it shows their progress. It shows where they are as they complete the thing. So that would help as well. So you can do that. You can do little things, explore it. But again, I'm going to cut this out for now. I think this is probably long enough. I think it's longer than what I intended it to be. And if we have any other questions, please email me or ask me in class. So thank you all for listening.